Have you ever wondered about the Antichrist and the Great Apostasy as mentioned in the scriptures? These profound concepts, deeply rooted in Christian eschatology, have triggered countless debates and speculations over the centuries. They're more than just intriguing notions, they're keys to understanding the complex tapestry of prophecies, moral dilemmas, and spiritual battles woven throughout the New Testament. The emergence of the Antichrist and the Great Apostasy, what do these signify? Let's delve into the scriptures to understand these prophecies. The concept of the Great Apostasy is deeply embedded in the New Testament. It's a term that has profound implications and is directly tied to the anticipated arrival of the Antichrist. Let's dive into the scriptures to understand this concept more clearly. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, Apostle Paul warns the Thessalonians not to be deceived. He states that the day of the Lord won't come unless the apostasy comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction. This verse is crucial to our understanding of apostasy, which is seen as a mass departure from the faith. It's an abandonment of faith, a rebellion against God, and a sign of declining morality and rejection of truth. But who is this man of lawlessness, this son of destruction? He's often associated with the Antichrist, a figure of great evil who opposes Christ and seeks to lead many astray. The revelation of this figure is described as a prerequisite for Christ's return. The apostasy and the unveiling of the Antichrist go hand in hand, marking a tumultuous period in human history. Yet, we must remember that apostasy signifies more than just a departure from faith. It's a deliberate rebellion against God, a conscious choice to reject the truth. This ties back to the concept of free will, suggesting that humanity will have the option to either follow God's truth or reject it in favor of deception. Now let's look at another verse, 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4. Here, Paul talks about the God of this age blinding the minds of unbelievers, preventing them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ. While this verse doesn't directly speak about the Antichrist or apostasy, it underscores the ongoing spiritual battle for the hearts and minds of people. In conclusion, the scriptures paint a picture of a future where the great apostasy will pave the way for the revelation of the Antichrist. It's a stark reminder of the spiritual warfare that believers are engaged in, a call to vigilance, prayer, and unwavering commitment to the truth. So the great apostasy is a sign of declining morality and rejection of truth. Now let's turn our attention to the Antichrist. The term Antichrist might evoke images of a sinister figure filled with malevolent intent, and that's not far from what we find in the scriptures. In the second letter to the Thessalonians, Paul refers to the man of lawlessness, the son of destruction. This figure, steeped in lawlessness, is often interpreted as a reference to the Antichrist. The unveiling of this figure is a prerequisite for the day of the Lord, indicating that the Antichrist's presence signals the onset of the end times. But what does the term man of lawlessness truly mean? It suggests a figure who disregards the law, the divine order established by God. This figure seeks to disrupt, to sow chaos, and to deceive. And this deception is not a small-scale event, it's a grand, sweeping wave of falsehood that has the potential to lead many astray. In Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, he speaks of the God of this age. While this isn't a direct reference to the Antichrist, it's often interpreted as such. This God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers, preventing them from seeing the light of the gospel of Christ. This blinding, this prevention of truth is a key characteristic of the Antichrist deception. The Antichrist's role, then, is not just one of opposition, but of deception. This figure seeks to lead people away from the faith, to turn them from the path of righteousness. The Antichrist embodies falsehood, creating a veneer of truth that hides a core of deception and lawlessness. Understanding the Antichrist in this way provides us with a stark reminder of the forces at work in the world, forces that seek to undermine faith and lead people away from the truth of the gospel. The Antichrist is not just an opponent of Christ, but a figure that actively seeks to deceive and lead people away from the faith. As such, the Antichrist is a figure of deception and opposition to Christ. So, what are the implications of these prophecies? Well, in the grand scheme of Christian eschatology, the Great Apostasy and the Antichrist represent significant milestones in the unfolding of end-times events. The apostasy, or mass departure from Christian truth, is seen as a precursor to the arrival of the Antichrist, marking a time of moral decay and spiritual deception. This concept of apostasy isn't just a random event, but rather it's deeply intertwined with the idea of free will. It suggests that humanity, at an individual and collective level, will have a choice. They can either hold fast to the truth of God's word or reject it, succumbing to the deceitful allure of the Antichrist. Now, let's talk about the Antichrist. This figure, often associated with the embodiment of evil, is a significant sign of the end times in Christian eschatology. The Antichrist is prophesied to wield great power and influence, leading many astray with false teachings and promises. His emergence isn't just a random occurrence, but a critical signpost on the path to Christ's second coming. The presence of the Antichrist serves as a test, a trial of faith for believers. It's a spiritual gauntlet that must be run, a challenge to remain steadfast in the face of deception and false doctrine. The Antichrist's arrival isn't just about doom and gloom, it's also about the resilience of faith and the triumph of truth over falsehood. But what does all this mean for believers? These prophecies are more than just ancient texts, they're a rallying cry, a call to vigilance and spiritual preparedness. They serve as a reminder to hold fast to the truth of the gospel, to stand firm in faith even when the world around seems to be crumbling. In essence, the Great Apostasy and the emergence of the Antichrist are not just events to fear, but moments that test the mettle of believers, offering opportunities for spiritual growth and reaffirmation of faith. These prophecies serve as a wake-up call for believers to remain vigilant and steadfast in their faith. To wrap up, we've delved into the profound concepts of the Great Apostasy and the Antichrist. It's clear that these prophecies, deeply rooted in the New Testament, call for unwavering vigilance, fervent prayer, and an unshakable commitment to the gospel truth. As believers navigate these prophesied times, they're encouraged to resist deception and hold fast to their faith. Understanding these complex themes can deepen our appreciation for the depth and complexity of Christian eschatology.